Alrighty, I think we're good. We're in the
Hey,
group. We're on YouTube.
Hello.
hey there.
All right, so first we're going to do a little bit of introduction. So, hi, my name's Kayla, and I am the creator of the Cozy Gaming Facebook group. And today we're going to be chatting with the creators behind an upcoming game called Hotel Galactic, which is really exciting. So, if you guys want to introduce yourselves, tell us a little bit about your game.
Awesome. First of all, thanks for having us here. Uh, it's pretty awesome to do this. This group, we've been seeing it and we've been talking about it, how it's been growing a lot. I mean, even just prior to coming on the show. So it's really exciting to talk to you and then potentially, reveal some more details about Hotel Galactic to everyone who's watching and everyone who's following the game. So just to give a quick introduction. So my name is Max and I'm the technical director here at Ancient Forge. A company
Yeah,
that me and Dushan started together. And Dushan, over to you.
yeah, and I'm Tushan Hatri, the creative director of Hotel Galactic, and we are very excited to be a part of this first event of this kind for the group. It's very, very nice and very
Yeah.
cozy.
Well, thank you so
Pretty
much.
cozy.
We try really hard. We have a really good mod team that helps keep everything good.
I love the overlay, by the way. I don't know the graphics and everything.
Yeah. All right. So, what inspired you guys to make a game like this?
I think
Yeah,
Dushan should take this one because I think this was your
yeah,
idea initially.
yeah. I think obviously the main inspiration for the art style and the story and the general theme of the game is definitely Studio Ghibli movies.
Mhm.
But we also were talking a lot about games where we could like dive deeper into simulating these virtual little dudes that walk around the various locations and have lives of their own. It's
Yeah.
something that me and Max have been always very
Yeah.
excited about, and it came as a mix of those two inspirations and interests, I
Yeah, for
think.
some reason, personally, I've always had, I don't know, I was always fascinated with AI autonomous agents in video games where you have emergent gameplay where things just happen on their own.
Mhm.
Even going back, because me and Dushan started working together since middle school, really,
Wow.
and just kind of wanting to work in video games. And even then, we always love those moments where just interesting interactions would appear out of nowhere because we wouldn't code them, we wouldn't hard code them as we say it, but they would just emerge on its own. So having that as a backbone of the gameplay here for Hotel Galactic is something that has always been like super interesting to us. And even going back to some of the games that I used to like, what was it, the Diggins, the Wiggles? I think the one
Yeah,
game that I used to play, and yeah, stuff like that. So like modern games, you got RimWorld, right? Oxygen not included, games like that, where
That's hard.
yeah, you have a lot of behaviors that just kind of come out of nowhere, and sort of stories that are generated through those gameplay mechanics, and I always like that because it creates a lot of complexity that is very challenging. Don't get me wrong, but I guess if this is a job, then I also like it to be challenging. So yeah,
Yeah, that makes sense. I personally love whenever the worlds kind of like take on a personality of themselves. Like
yeah,
it makes it feel more immersive that way. So I definitely appreciate that, and I look forward to that in Hotel Galactic.
yeah.
Um,
So like like for instance, the Hotel Galactic. Some of the things through which this happens is, you have your little employees, right?
mm,
And so, like the core mechanic that we sort of thought of for it is the way you engage with them and the way you control your employees. Because like the normal sort of like RTS like controls would be, okay, you click on a worker and then you like assign a thing for them to do.
mm,
But in Hotel Galactic, it's sort of backwards, where you create things to do, and then people pick up their tasks on their own, tasks which
okay.
they like. And so, like, your job as a manager of the hotel is to pick the right people who will do the tasks that you want them to do, right? And then also
Mhm.
like drag and drop those workers to places where they have like stuff that they want to work on, and then you kind of like also learn through gameplay that, okay, like this person A doesn't like cleaning, right? Person B doesn't like cooking, and then it's like, okay, I can't go against that, right? And I got to play up
yeah,
to their strengths and I got to build them up. So that I think it creates an interesting gameplay dynamic where it's just not a basic like, okay, you do A, this other dude go and do B.
Yeah.
And I like to joke that it's kind of like in being a manager in real life, where yeah, you
Mhm.
can tell someone to do something, but ultimately if they don't like it, they're not going to do it, or they're not going to do a good job of it. So you
Yeah,
also got
that's
to be
really
able to
awesome.
respond.
Yeah, and I think it's also connected to how we display information to the players in the game. Uh, and One thing that we always wanted for Hotel Galactic is to have a very minimalistic UI and interface.
Mhm.
So we want to show all of those things that Max just described, such as like employees not wanting to do some things through animations and how they appear in the game's world and how they act. So it's a lot of going kind of against the usual UX in your games,
Mhm.
um,
Yeah.
and going against the uh, examples from other titles.
Yeah,
Uh,
I just to give an example, we can mention something that we thought of today, really, and like in the last few days, we've been talking about how, like, what would be the best way to indicate how many days someone wants to stay at our hotel.
Mm.
And I suppose the usual way to go about it would be, okay, I'll just have like an overview panel, like a UI panel is gonna like have like a list of all the people who are lining up right at the lobby, and
Mhm.
then there's gonna be like a number of how many days they want to stay at. But like today, we thought, okay, but what if we indicated it some other way, like maybe through the amount of luggage that those people have
Oh,
as they line up, right? And then you can see
yeah.
that if it's a small bag, it's gonna be a day. If it's a big suitcase, it's probably going to be more, than a couple
Yeah,
days. So
that's awesome.
through those sort of like in-world explanations, you can have a lot of immersion. And
Mhm.
it turns out you might not need a whole lot of just generic UIs and generic text boxes. Some of the information might not be as precise then, but at the same time, I would say that's the beauty of it as well. Like it doesn't have to be. It
yeah,
doesn't
and
have to
that's
be. No, go on. Sorry.
Yeah, and that's why the the game is also not very demanding skill wise from the players. We want the game to be pretty relaxing and have basically no pressure on
Mhm.
you when you play. So that's why we also think that it connects with the way that the player can explore the game on their own and experience all these little interactions and how the world and different characters work in the
Yeah.
game. And if there was too much pressure or like challenge in the game, there it just wouldn't feel like there's enough time to learn those things in your own time frame.
That makes sense. Speaking of there being like a relaxing mode to play, do you plan on adding in any other different modes, like a hard mode where you got to really be serious about where you assign your employees, or is it just going to be like relaxing all the way?
We definitely want to add a sandbox mode where you can just skip the story parts and just from the very beginning start with just building and decorating and
Mhm.
doing whatever you prefer and to like have you the hotel of your dreams.
Yeah.
But for a hard mode, for now, I have to admit that it didn't cross our minds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
uh, it's something to be discussed
Yeah,
definitely.
because with the different game modes, I guess it's more like a broader game design thing. You're also kind of risking um, making people feel like there's no one set mode to play the game, or like there's no
Mm.
like one main default way of playing the game.
Yeah.
And it can turn out that if you have less different modes, then there's going to be like more laser focus on like what the game is supposed to be. Um,
Yeah,
like imagine Dark Souls having like difficult modes, right? I think
Yeah.
it would kind of like ruin the point of Dark Souls in a way. I'm not
yeah,
saying that this is what would happen here, but it's like a different dynamic that we also have to look at.
yeah.
Yeah.
I have
Understandable.
also our direction with this and approach is that we like to design the main mode, the story mode, as you may call it, in a way that allows different players to focus on different parts of the game. For example,
Mhm.
if you like the farming, you could like play Hotel Galactic in a way that is mostly about farming. If you like the
Yeah,
mining mechanic or you like decorating stuff, then we also want you to feel uh, like fully satisfied with that part of the game, and you can just skip on the other parts that you do not enjoy that much. And this is the direction that we are taking, and hopefully. we can achieve that pretty well.
Yeah, that's
We got some
awesome.
questions in the chat. I'm not sure if we want to take them now, maybe, possibly.
Uh, we can answer a couple of them now, but there is going to be a 15-minute section towards the end to
Awesome.
Okay.
answer a bunch of questions.
Okay.
Yeah, whatever you guys want to do.
Yeah, I guess because someone mentioned some sort of story mode would be awesome. So yeah, like this is gonna like be the default mode, like Deshaun said. I guess we don't want the game to be a spreadsheet simulator. So like all
Yeah,
the management type aspects, like they're
like
gonna be there,
oxygen
but
on
it's gonna be
grid.
up to you to see how much you want to like min max it. But
Mhm.
our idea would be that if you are that sort of player, there are gonna be tools for you. But at the
That's
same
awesome.
time, it's gonna be more about playing with a dollhouse, I suppose. Where
Wow, it looks
it's
beautiful.
about learning who is good at what, and then micromanagement on that scale, right? But not so much about like, like, how much taxes should impose here and stuff like that.
Right.
It's a different kind of game.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right. So, what was the initial spark or idea that led to the creation of Hotel Galactic? Like, was there a set moment that you remember where you're like, "Oh my God, we should make a game like this," or did it just kind of come to you?
I
Um,
think that there was this one discussion where we went back to an idea that we were working on like a couple years before. I think we called it the cave links internally.
Hmm.
oh
And
yeah,
it was also
yeah.
set in this side view. It was also 3D characters, and you had these little wolves that were building this tribe and digging underground, and we
Hmm.
were talking about the parts that worked in that idea and the parts that didn't. And then we also had the experience post the release of the tenants and seeing how the players reacted to and clashing that with what we thought they will react. So I think it was that discussion that led us to writing down the first vision doc for Hotel
Oh
Galactic.
yeah, that is true. That is true. I actually remember it. Yeah. So like the cave links, I guess what we liked
Yeah.
from it was okay, AI agents, autonomous again agents, and then underground complex, colony simulator in that sense. But then what we didn't like about it is okay, it's a bunch of wolves underground. And this isn't really so it doesn't really leap off the page, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Right?
they look pretty cool, you know,
Yeah, they
but
did, but I guess the whole premise is just kind of like, all right.
yeah,
How did
Uh,
those dogs get down there?
Dogs,
yeah.
man, right? But yeah, so mirroring it together with this idea, I guess that proved to be what we needed, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
But
no, it worked
I
out.
think.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, go on.
Okay, I just wanted to say that I think um it's like a natural direction that we're taking with different projects before and different ideas, and I think we would end up here either way.
Yeah, because I was gonna say like to paint a picture with broader strokes. Me and Deshaun both having experience and a sort of background in tech. Uh, Deshaun is a creative dude. He's also pretty good at coding.
Yeah.
So we've always sort of been naturally gravitating towards gameplay elements like these, right? So like Hotel Galactic, this seems like a natural sort of progression for us. And so like one way or the other for sure. And then I would also add one bit because maybe it might be interesting to some folks to see how these ideas come together and how games start. We actually have like a little like a folder on a Google Drive with like cool ideas, I suppose.
That's
And
awesome.
Dushan is a guy who just has like a lot of different ideas. So there's like I don't know,
Mhm.
like 20 documents there, and some of them they're just like he would just copy paste like Discord conversations between us and just raw paste them into the document, right? Or sometimes it's gonna be like a description, like a 3 sentence description that just sort of being put together in like in the middle of a conversation that you can see that it trails off and yeah, and then sometimes we just go through them and then like, oh, this was cool, and or sometimes like, nah, this wasn't that cool, right? So like,
No.
you got to
Yeah,
recheck them once in a while, right? But it definitely stood out. That
No, that's
idea is
awesome.
coming
past
back in our mind.
the 2 years check.
Right, right. Like every year we just remove the ones that suck the most, and
That's
and
cool
then the
that you
last
have
one
a way to
standing is the
keep
next
track.
idea.
That's really awesome that you guys have a way to keep track. Like even whenever the inspiration strikes in the middle of a conversation to like keep that conversation set aside so that we can find it again.
Yeah.
That's really smart. That's awesome. All right, so I think we should get into the game overview section. So let's go ahead and talk about some gameplay and like features. So we can go ahead and play this video that you gave us,
Okay.
and we can talk about some core gameplay mechanics and see what people think. Good.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sure.
sure.
Alrighty, got it going. All right, so is this an employee over here working?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So like you can see the little like icons above, let's say the desk right now, right? And so like each task that you generate or create is going to have like a limited number of slots. That is like the number of employees that can work on it. And so you're going to be creating issues essentially for people to work on, but then it's going to be up to the people to choose the issues they want to work on. So this is what we mentioned before, like this inversion of control, I think is one of the key aspects of Hotel Galactic.
Yeah, or perhaps marking the issues that you want to be solved.
Right.
And then creating some. Yeah. Why
Yeah.
not?
Why not?
So will
All
they
right.
go out and chop wood and mine rocks on their own, or do you
Yeah.
have to tell them?
Yeah, you need to mark the trees or the resources that you want them to take down, and if you have people that have priorities set for those kind of tasks, and if they're free at the time and don't have any needs that they really need to fulfill currently, then they will be able
Yeah, that's
to
awesome.
perform those tasks. And
One of the things, I'm sorry, I cut you off.
yeah, go on.
So one of the things that we sort of talked about at the very beginning was this level of immersion that we want to have through in-world sort of experiences and in-world interactions. So let's say it's for resource gathering, as you can see, this little dude here is picking up a log, and then we wanted it to be so that this exact log is going to then have to be placed on a pile, right? And so let's say if it's something that requires 10 logs to be built, then it's going to need to be exactly 10 logs being transported, one by one, one by one, one by one. We didn't want this simplification of gameplay where through just a bunch of UIs and text boxes. So you're going to have like a little progress bar, and then it's going to say like, oh, 10%, 20%, 30%. Oh, and it's built, right? And then it's going to just suck out the resources from your resource piles or whatever. So we wanted this to be so that each log you can actually see exactly being cleared, right? Each stone you can see exactly being picked up, and we think there's a lot of strength in that design where it feels like the game is not cheating on you, right? It's not just a bunch of screens that tell you that can't be built, right? You can see yourself that I don't have that many logs, right?
Yeah, you can probably tell that we really loved Settlers when we were young.
Yeah. Yeah, I love those kinds of games, so it seems like right up my alley. I love city builders and management games, so this one seems like perfect for me.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this bit of gameplay is from the very beginning of the game, basically. So there's not much there built already, just then the starting layout of the hotel, and you got your first starting employees, and you have to basically renovate the whole thing before being able to take in the first guests. You need
Yeah, that's
to
awesome.
like get the basics working at this point
But
of the game.
but I think through this video already, you can sort of infer what the pacing of the game is going to be. So because we have all those in-world interactions, as we mentioned, a lot of emphasis was also put into like all the different animations. Like each character is going to have like a unique pickup animation, right? So as you can see, they're picking it up. They have now a different walk animation as they're carrying all these items. Like you see someone is working here. So we want always the game to be just really nice to look at as well. Like you just gotta slow down and just observe what is happening on the screen. So in that sense, as you build up your hotel and you expand and then you have more people, and if you zoom out, we want this to be like this, because I always like this in games, like in a way awe-inspiring moment when you like zoom out and then you see it all being put together. You see all the different entities walking around, right, doing all the different things. The hotel being weirdly shaped and being just huge, and you thinking to yourself, how is this even working? And then people flooding in, new guests coming in, and through this emergent chaos lies the beauty, I would say, no, the Galactic.
Yeah.
Whenever you expand your hotel, does it get like wider or does it get taller?
Yeah, it can do both, and
Both.
we imagine that in the very late game we will be able to have the hotel be bigger than the island itself.
Wow,
Perhaps, yeah, like
that's awesome.
we'll be able to have different shapes going like in both directions,
Yeah,
overhanging, and we want the players to be able to go really creative with their hotel layouts
Yeah,
and the interiors too.
that also like I suppose goes back to like the core design principles in a way that we also have to remind ourselves and the team and everyone working on the game that like the part of the whole experience it are those like modular mechanics through which you can maybe build nonsensical shapes, but that's more that's more power to the player, right? So like
Yeah.
if someone wants to do that, then awesome. Like I can't wait for people to be like, oh, are you like team horizontal or are you team vertical? Like okay, what shape do you guys go with? Right? What is the most optimal way to build a hotel? So we don't want it to be just like a set defined number of rooms, number of ways to build up. We want you to explore the game and sort of go back to that just magical moments in video games way back when where like you didn't know what the most optimal way would be, because of so
Mhm.
many different parameters. Maybe it's not even not all that easy to come up with a guide that's going to tell you, okay, do A, B, and C, because there's going to be more decisions than just the three decisions that are really easy to list.
Mhm.
So a lot of it is going to be up to your imagination. And because the game, as we mentioned before, is going to be casual in a sense that it's going to punish you all that much, it is going to allow you to try out those different things and then also not feel like you're being punished again. So
Yeah,
I think that is also like super important.
that's exciting. I can't wait to see. You're gonna have to have a spot in your Discord dedicated to like members' creations eventually to see all the
Oh
different
yeah,
kinky
oh
shapes.
yeah, yeah. Because like
Have
I
like a
think
multi spotlight
yeah,
or
because I
something
think the
like
beauty of it is that
Mhm.
it's also going to take some time to actually build up. Because so like say the build mechanics. So the way you interact with the game is you lay out like through this like blueprint-ish mode where the camera takes on like a side view, and then you lay
Mhm.
out where you want your next room to be, and then the workers are going to have to gather up the resources first of all to build it. And as I
Right.
mentioned before, it's going to be 10 logs. It's going to be 10 logs, and then it scales with the size and everything. So this big ass room is going to be like 30 logs, and then we're going to have to wait for them to carry it, right?
Mhm.
And they might stop because there might be new cast coming in, there might be something else happening. So
that. I think
that alone already.
I
Sorry, go on.
think the best example of like these processes being very cool to watch was when we finally implemented all the elevator animations and sound effects and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And it was really cool to see your employees like standing up in a queue waiting for the
Yeah,
elevator to stand to
That's cute.
stop at that floor with all their dishes and like little sticks
yeah.
being held.
Then
It's really uh, like magic.
Yeah, and then it actually goes deeper, right? Because okay, let's say you have the room, but now you need some items, you need some furniture. Well, you got to craft those, right? So you got to use the workbench, but then you also need resources for that, and then that also takes time. And then you need to carry the items to the room of your choice, and we don't want the items to just appear out of nowhere again, because that goes against our basic principles. So someone is going to have to carry it. That's going to take time. Like what if you want to paint the walls? Well, you gotta come up with paint, and that's going to take some time. And then
Yeah.
you're going to need to paint, and that's going to take some time because that's going to require an employee or two to work on it. And so to actually get to this size where you can be like, oh man, it's awesome, it's going to take a lot of time and effort on part of the players. I think that's going to create a very rewarding sort of gameplay loop where all the amazing shades that we're going to be posting on Discord, like you mentioned, like a specific channel. Yeah, people are going to be recognizing the effort, which I think is
Mhm.
super important because it's not going to be like a game or through a bunch of clicks and using the UI, you can get to that and just recreate it
Mhm.
by looking at the screen, right? And oh well, let me just copy the design. Well, you can't because that's going to take you 50 hours of gameplay.
Yeah.
Get to
Right.
that
Take a
point.
long time.
Um, which is something that is like I suppose a fix from our earlier title from the Tenants. For those who don't know, the Tenants is a game where is a game prior to this that we've been working on and never released, and it's a game where you get to be a landlord and purchase apartments and rent them out to people and deal with annoying tenants. And it's a complete and it's a complete experience at this point. But at the same time, there's some design flaws, or maybe not flaws, but I suppose just things that happen on their own, which
Yeah, and that don't work quite for
yeah,
our vision, but perhaps for some players,
right.
it's
Yeah.
better this way. But
All right. So like in
Sounds
this sense, like renovation mode, right? You can just put down all the items that you want and then just quickly go through it and run through it. And there's no like inherent, I suppose, effort part
mm,
where it takes time to build up to that size of the apartment or anything like that. Whereas in this game, we sort of tweaked it because we have all these natural inward processes where okay, it can just appear out of nowhere. You can't just click through a bunch of UIs to get to that hotel state. It's going to take
mm.
time and effort, and sort of we love that as an idea.
yeah,
Yeah, no, it sounds a lot like immersive. It sounds a lot more immersive that way. Instead
Yeah,
of just
yeah,
making this chair appear out of nowhere, you're actually like cutting
yeah,
the log, making the chair, placing the
yeah.
chair.
And
Yeah,
then
that
it
sounds.
feels satisfying as well, right? It's like kind of
Mhm.
if you have a do-it-yourself project, right? And then as opposed to just buying shit off Amazon, I suppose there's, I mean, can't say I'm not doing the second one, but I'm just saying that it can definitely be a rewarding experience.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, so let's talk about the setting and storyline of Hotel Galactic. Is there a story to it, or is it more like open-ended, build as you want type place, or?
yes. So no, we definitely want the players to be free to build as they feel and choose to do so. Like we talked about, there's also the main storyline, and we also want the players to always feel like there's something to do, something to uncover a few steps down the road.
Mhm.
So the game starts off with the rundown hotel that here that the player's grandpa Gustav founded back in the day, and it got pretty popular. But then some stuff happened,
Right.
and it's related to the Galactic Peace Corps, the main the Empire like guys in
Mhm.
Hotel Galactic, uh, and the story in the game is at least at the first glance mostly about bringing the Gustav's dream back to life and making it happen for real. Uh, but there will be a lot more nuance to that and a lot more side stories happening. We have a cool cast of characters, and we want all of them to have a legitimate part in the game and be
Mhm.
able to like explore each of their storylines, do some side quests for them, perhaps some cool interactions, build relationships with them. So there will be more to the game story wise than just the main storyline of the game. And of
Yeah,
course,
that's
there's
exciting.
also a lot of lore in the game to discover through playing. Like you will have you have all these different races coming from different planets and different galaxies even. So there's a lot of stuff to uncover and learn there, definitely,
Yeah.
especially
And
if you have some favorite aliens. Then that will be cool experience to learn more about their origins, their planet, what they like to do, how they live.
I
That's
think that
exciting.
it also goes back to the whole Studio Ghibli inspiration, right? Because those movies they tend to have deeper themes intertwined in them, so it's not
Mhm.
just about what is like clear cut and what you can see up front. So there's definitely going to be some more intricate things to look out for. Like Deshaun said, also a lot of like different lore elements. But just go before we move on, I wanted to address Chelsea Davis comment on Facebook.
Mhm.
Hmm.
You're right. I saw some feedback about the tenants. I wanted to know if you were going to continue working on fixes for those issues. It's something that made me decide not to purchase it. Well, with the tenants, because of certain contract arrangements, we are sadly not continuing development on it. But I will say because we already kind of teased it on our Discord, there might be new things coming up for the tenants. and some new ways through which we'll interact with the game and sort of put out more stuff. So stay tuned for that. I can't give any timelines yet or anything like that, but uh, trust us that we would love to get back on it.
Yeah.
We just gotta figure out a way to make everyone happy with publisher, everything, and
Yeah.
game dev. Man, be hard.
Yeah.
I actually have that game, and I just found out probably like 2 days ago. I don't know how I didn't notice sooner that you guys were the ones that created it.
Oh,
So I was
Okay.
like even more excited. I was like, oh gosh, I hope I don't embarrass myself. So I like that game. It's fun.
oh, awesome, awesome.
Yeah.
That's good. We're glad to hear. Yeah.
Yeah. So you guys, you mentioned a couple of characters that the players may meet. Are there any characters you can tell us about that are going to be in the storyline or like in the game? Maybe some
Yeah.
favorite characters you've created?
Yeah, I think that like the character that is probably the most known for now is Marietta, the captain of the guest ship, uh, the cat earth girl. But I think that not many people may realize that. But also we want to put a lot of cool beats and story for our merchant duo, two guys that you could see in the trailer. They're called Knuckles and Silver, and they're a really interesting bunch. They go way back, and they weren't partners in the old days, so there was some history between them. Yeah,
We're an always happy duo.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like so even people like merchants and stuff, we want people to have deeper background. Personally, I love Grandpa Gustav still. Really,
yeah,
we
OG
played the
team.
tenants, right? We got Uncle Steve there, and
Yeah.
we laughed when we were designing Hotel Galactic and sort of thinking of the first like few ideas for the game. We want to have like an Uncle Steve-ish character. So like someone who would be explaining the game to you in a way, and someone who would be knowing more than you, and someone who would be able to guide the players. So we thought, okay, we need an uncle in this game, but then we thought, you know what?
Yeah,
Let's not
we
let's
can
not
add
make an
that.
uncle. Yeah, we can make it even better. Let's get a grandpa.
Yeah, there you
But
go.
I'm already afraid
Right.
for our next game.
Yeah. Oh boy, I don't know where that's gonna go. But yeah, you can see the progression here, right?
Yeah,
Uncle to
that's awesome.
grandpa, and then we'll see.
Alrighty. So your Kickstarter campaign ends in like tomorrow.
Yeah.
So you guys finally hit the goal yesterday or
Yeah.
the day before. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank
it
you.
was pretty stressful, to be
No
honest.
biter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet. I know I kept checking on it. All my mods were checking on it. A bunch of people in the group were checking on it. Everyone was
Awesome.
like rooting for you guys. I'm so happy you made it there.
Yeah, definitely the community has been amazing, and even seeing out of different Kickstarters and over the years, I definitely wasn't prepared for such a warm welcome, and you guys are really amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, we
I
got
guess is the biggest compliment that one can get when you see their work being actually admired and liked and talked about with people, and the way that some people have started talking about Hotel Galactic, which is something that as an idea, as a project being have been worked on for a couple of years prior to this. So to see this moment finally come out and see the game be talked about after so much time, it's gratifying to say the least, and really really amazing. So thank you everyone for supporting us. And if you contextualize this well, that we just had our announcement, really, right? And so there wasn't even that a lot of time to like build up the campaign, so to speak, and get everyone hyped up at the Kickstarter. So to see so many backers already um, get this game essentially and support it through this campaign is really really amazing. So I can't wait to share more gameplay with you guys.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I think
exciting.
it was a quick rise, just like the cozy group on Facebook.
Yes.
Yeah.
You've
Wow,
been
we have
seeing
so much in
some
common.
rapid growth. Yeah,
Right.
we
Yeah.
do
Fast
actually.
growth. It was all those targeted ads even before I was reached out to about doing any interviews or anything like that with you
Yeah.
guys, I kept seeing Hotel Galactic ads on Facebook like every day, multiple times a day, and I was looking at it like, this
Marketing
game looks
works.
so
Damn
good.
it.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
your marketing was top tier, beautiful.
We'll
Shout
pass
out to
it
you,
Um,
to
Camilla. Yeah.
yeah.
let's see. There's some fun questions in here, like how will the funds help bring Hotel Galactic to life? You guys got
Yeah.
any insight on that?
So the additional funds will help us to, well, first of all, work on the game some more and have more time to work on the game. They're
Yeah.
going to allow us to sort of go to the public a little bit sooner than we would have otherwise. So through the alpha tests, right, and through the
Hmm.
exclusive tests that you're going to be getting on Kickstarter, this is going in to allow us to essentially have a conversation with the community much faster, which is obviously super important, especially in games like this where uh, something that we learned from the tenants is that we might have an idea for how the game is supposed to be played or where the game is supposed to be, but then as people play it, sometimes what they say might be a little bit different than what we had expected. So an
Hmm.
example that I want to give, like with the tenants, is like personally, I wanted it to actually be more like a spreadsheet simulator, more like a tycoon.
Mhm.
The tenants, right? But then
Hmm.
Yeah.
as we put out our first closed alpha tests, we found out that people just really enjoyed renovating houses. They just
Hmm.
really like choosing the damn furniture, and
Yeah.
and when you see what those people do, and then you kind of have to adapt and change up, because it's like, okay, so do I now want to force shove the way that I thought the game was supposed to be played on those people, or should I just listen to the community and look at the data and see how people are interacting with it, and therefore like adjust the design? And sort of the sooner you're able to do that, the sooner you're able to bring people on board. I mean, the better chances are of you course correcting on time, because obviously there's at some point in game dev and anything in any industry, there's going to be a time where it's like, okay, I get it, but it's too late now to change course,
Mhm.
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
there's already been so much work put into it, and like, we can't just make shit disappear and then change everything. So
Yeah.
obviously got to be realistic with your schedules and your own plans and what you show to like publishers and investors and everything. But then Kickstarter allows us to essentially bridge that gap faster and enable that conversation, which I think is going to be super helpful, and I can't wait for those tests. It's always super fun to then have like a bunch of dedicated people who are just like super eager to play the game and give you feedback, and then even bounce off of ideas, which I always like. Um, so yeah, because I'm a gamer too. I mean, everyone is here, just a bunch of people sitting in bedrooms working in video games. Just
Yep.
having the ability to also talk to people about very games that we work on, and then get in there and then talk about, no, it should be this way, or no, it should be that way, and then having that conversation. It's just super exciting.
It sounds really exciting. It seems like it's kind of hard to balance like what the people want versus what you envision for the game. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
I applaud you for handling that.
Yeah. I think people too often like treat it as one-to-one feedback, and often you can find really valuable points in a lot of the reviews and stuff like that on Steam, even if they're negative. It's
Hmm.
just that not always the solution presented there will be correct, and you have to take the issue and work around that, basing on what you know about your own game, how
Right.
it works, and stuff like that. But there's always something there, even in the worst comments or or reviews or whatever. Uh, People are really good at finding that something doesn't work. They're not always
Yes.
that good at finding what exactly does not work and how to fix that. But
yeah.
I guess that's our job, to do that
You always have
Right.
properly.
to unpack the frustrations, right? So like they're very good at pinpointing there's an issue here somewhere, right? And all the frustrations and all that, it's all valid. It's just sometimes the idea on how to solve it might be a little bit short-sighted, or just not taking into account all the different aspects of it, game design, which is
Hmm.
fine. Uh, so we just love to hear the conversation, and we just love to read every comment and the negative reviews as well, and then sometimes just sit there and like think, okay, why are they thinking this?
Yeah.
Because that is not the case. But why are they thinking? What makes them think this, right? So it's an interesting like reverse engineering sort of process as well.
Yeah, it seems like it's a lot easier for people to see whenever whenever something goes wrong instead of
Yeah.
recognizing everything that goes right, you know. So
Yeah.
I imagine those negative comments got to be a little frustrating because it's like, okay, well this is wrong, but look at all these other great things. But I mean, that's all a part of making a game, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
it usually depends on the first reaction, and if someone like doesn't like the very beginning of a game or even a movie or anything, they're more likely to interpret anything that happens beyond that point in a negative manner. And
Yeah.
it's something that we all do. So
Hmm.
Yeah.
it's something that has to be considered when reading a review on the reader part. I think too. It's there's also some work in reading things.
That's
I guess.
why in like game design we often talk about like the first 5 minutes gameplay and how it creates an implicit bias on you through which then you interpret everything else. So let's say that like Sean said, you like the first 5 minutes, right? And then even if there's like a little flaw, right, you're gonna be like, oh yeah, but I like that game, right? But then if you don't like that game, then it's like, holy shit, and even this sucks, right? And then you're gonna be putting that in the review, right?
Right.
Whereas in like a different game, there might be an element like this, just just flawed, just as flawed, right? But then to you, maybe that's not even a flaw anymore, or maybe that's kind of cute in a way, right?
Yeah.
So I suppose like story characters when they might have flaws, they might be imperfect, but damn it, they're handsome and they're cute and everything. So like whatever, right?
Mhm.
And I suppose like an example of this, I think Dushan that you also mentioned a lot. Was it Ghost of Tsushima or
Yeah, with the
Sekiro?
grass on the first level, right?
Yeah, yeah. So like an example through which like the first 5 minutes can instill a different sort of perception for you is yeah, either Ghost of Tsushima or Sekiro, where
Hmm.
there's like a first level where they have dynamic grass. So like if when you like walk around,
Hmm.
the grass reacts to your movements and then it moves as well, right? But
Hmm.
then actually all the other levels don't have that. The grass is static, right? But
Oh.
because you had that experience in the very first 5 minutes or something, then in a way you think to yourself, okay, so all grass must be like this, and then you don't
Yeah.
even notice that on the other levels it doesn't behave like this, right? But because you expose the player to that experience in the first 5 minutes, then that kind of like overrides what they think of the game in a way, and then
Yeah.
and then it's like it. I guess it makes everything better in that sense, right?
Yeah, it creates a
Because it
better experience with
yeah.
a simple trick like that.
So
Yeah, that's
that's
awesome.
a little neat trick from the industry. So that's something that you gotta have in mind, right? Or just to get another example, let's say I'm gonna use Hotel Galactic here. Uh, the cinematic that we have, it in a way, it also elevates the overall perception of the game that people might have, even when they look at the actual in-game footage, because
Hmm.
they saw that cinematic and because there's so much story to it, and because the game is deeper than just that image of gameplay. That image of gameplay uh, takes on sort of new meaning, and to some players might just seem like even more Ghibli-like than
Hmm.
it actually is in isolation. So yeah, it all ties in essentially, right? So all the different things tie in to create this sort of like experience and like a vision that you have in your head of a project.
Yeah, it makes sense. I've definitely played a game or two where the beginning has like just had a negative effect, and then I didn't even give the rest of
Yeah.
the game a try. So I I've never thought about the first 5 minutes, but now I'm going to be like definitely noticing. So
Yeah. They can
all
be
right.
more, I guess, self-aware of like what the designers are trying to do, what kind of tricks they're
Yeah.
trying to pull
Yeah,
on you.
I feel bad because I know the one game it's like well loved, but the very beginning of it, it's just like you're on a train and you're talking to all these different people on the train, and then you get off, and then there's more dialogue and more dialogue and more dialogue, and it's just like shoving dialogue down your face, and it's like, okay, I want to play the actual game. Just
And
Yeah,
then people
if
boot
the
up.
game is about if the game is about dialogues, then that's a great beginning. It will
yeah,
Right,
definitely
right,
without the players that don't enjoy that.
yeah. See,
exactly.
if you are playing a narrative game, it makes sense, but this one is supposed to be like a witchy life sim
Like,
type game, so it was a little, it wasn't what I expected, but a lot of people loved it. So
it's something that we talk about in our studio on a daily basis, I would say, and definitely between me and Max, is like thinking about what kind of expectations you're creating with not only the first 5 minutes of the game, but it's of course also very important, but even with the title of the game,
Hmm.
the little cover art that you will see as a first thing, the few sentences that introduce you to the game. And we always talk about meeting those expectations for the game that we are creating, because you don't want this experience that you just described with someone like watching a trailer or seeing a game and, oh wow, it's a cool action game, and then you are playing it for 15 minutes and it's just dialogue after dialogue after dialogue,
Yeah.
and you turn it off, and the that fantasy that you had about the game wasn't met by it. So
Yeah.
that's something that we definitely talk about a lot, and it's course correcting on a daily basis, like Mike
Yeah.
said.
But then on the other hand, you're going to be
Mhm.
putting up, Death Stranding, and
Yeah.
then it's essentially an interactive movie for like the first 2 hours. And it's, oh, cool. Yeah, I love it. Bring me
Yeah.
more, right? But then it's the same type of thing, you put a different game, and then it's like, oh my god, why there's so many cutscenes? Like, who does that, right? And
Yeah.
and then again, some people might have just, again, it's indicating the right issue, but having just wrong conclusions, right? So they might be like,
Mm.
there's like too many cutscenes. Like, who does that, right? And there's got to be more gameplay, and it's like, yeah, but for a different game, it works, right? So that,
Yeah. Like
and
The
that's
Last of
inherently
Us.
not an issue, right?
Yeah, like The Last of Us is basically playing a movie, or even Kingdom Hearts has a lot of
Yeah,
cutscenes, but it makes sense in that kind of game.
Yeah.
exactly.
So it's definitely got to find the balance.
I
All
mean,
right.
if you want to talk about The Last of Us 2 without spoilers, I mean, a great example of how people had a like different um sort of idea for what the game is supposed to be doing story wise, and then there's a
Hmm.
huge disconnect of what the game did. And in a
Yeah.
way, yes, you're such a great creative mind. Look, you pull the rug underneath people, right? But at the same time, that's not what people wanted. So and
Yeah.
it is a struggle because as an artist, in a way, you got to be confident of what you're putting out is good, and that what
Mhm.
it is what you like, and it is your vision. But I like to think broader than that, and then also think, okay, but at the same time, it is an experience that people are going to be interacting with, and I want it to be a good experience, not a shit one.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. So we are at 48 minutes, and we wanted to do a little Q&A section.
Yeah.
So if anybody has any
Sure.
questions that they would like to ask, go ahead and comment them now. Otherwise, we can scroll through and you can
Yeah.
pick some
Mhm.
comments.
Uh,
Okay. Curious who are your favorite characters? I think we talked about this already. Uh, are you
the
going
player
to choose?
decisions affect the game's story.
Oh, oh,
There's this comment on YouTube from Orange H. Um, yeah, the player decisions definitely do impact the story in Hotel Galactic, but perhaps in ways that are not always not in the same ways that you would see in different games. We There's definitely like dialogue choices and stuff like that, but it also comes down to uh, uh, because much of the story in Hotel Galactic will be introduced for these VIP visits, and it comes down to how you handle them, or how you interact with the VIP guests, and the outcome is based on that, and that leads to how the other visits and other NPCs are handled past that. So, in short, yes,
two ways to answer the question.
yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's a follow because someone asked here. A recent question: do all players get the same workers, or are they randomly generated? Both, because there's going to be some set characters that are going to be joining you, and they're going to be part of your roster. But then there's going to be characters which you will be building up your own, and they're going to be like randomly generated with different traits and different things that they like, and then it's going to be up to you to train them and see where they go. So both,
Yeah, and
or as
for
Deshaun said, yes.
mhm. Yeah, and for guests, they're also randomized, but there will be some guests like the VIPs that all players will see at least most of them. Yeah, both.
Alrighty.
Someone asked, "Can we zoom in really deep, like it happened in the food eating video?" I think the maximum zoom in like regular gameplay isn't to that
I
extent, but
suppose. Hmm.
then we're also planning a photo mode where I think you're gonna be able to get those
Yeah.
angles.
Uh, yeah, and there was this question, like, uh, okay,
Will
I
those
think I
plushies
was.
ever be available outside of the Kickstarter? I would hope so. I would love it to be the thing.
Yeah.
Chunky boys.
Oh, okay. I think it's about the employees. The question is, if you treat them bad, they leave, and if you treat them nicely, they stay. Uh, I think that we do not have employees leaving your hotel currently, even if treated badly.
They'll
If
stay
you could
with you.
say that, yeah, it works with the way that we do not want to punish the players, even if you leave the game running like on your other screen and watching a video you went to like take out laundry or
Mm.
anything. We don't want you to come back and see that all your workers left, you are in the debt, and
Yeah.
everything's rotten. And yeah,
Yeah, we
That's
had those
bad.
cases in the tenants where people would like tab out and leave the game running, and then come back to be like 2 mil in debt, and
Oh
then
man.
all their tenants leaving, and then all the apartments being ruined. So yeah, I suppose lack of progress in a way is also a punishment in and of itself. So like you don't have to go all that hard for people to feel like they're missing out on something, right? If you're missing out on something that is already like a punishment.
yeah,
Right.
but definitely treating your employees badly in a manner that doesn't allow them to fulfill all their needs, because they will also have them, not only your employees, will
Mm.
make them definitely be less efficient in their working. They will perhaps start annoying other workers or guests. They will start causing different kind of issues that will also impact your other workers that are perhaps more happy, that will impact the guests visiting the hotel.
Mhm.
In that way, they won't leave, but they will cause you issues. So it's best to treat your employees well,
Yeah, that makes
just
sense.
like in real life.
All right. So Lissa says, will you be putting out a demo for Hotel Galactic, and when do you expect it to be available if you do?
Uh, we'll we
Any
definitely plan
ideas?
to present a public demo on both Gamescom and Tokyo Game Show this year,
Yeah.
so not that far away. And for a public demo like on Steam, yeah, definitely. I think we do not have a set date for that now, but it would be around some of the Steam Next Fests
Yeah.
happening.
I guess the way we tend to tackle on those things is we'd like to just have more and more people play the game gradually, right? So
Mhm.
the one demo where it's gonna be all out, everyone is able to join. And to come a little bit later, but we're gonna have different opportunities for people to get their hands on the game. I mean, Kickstarter is one way that we mentioned before, right? So we are going to have that for sure. Just can't. I don't think we can promise any
Not
dates.
sure yet when. Got it.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Kimberly asks, as a graphic designer trying to get into the gaming industry, do you have any tips? And what's your favorite aspect of game design?
Mm, yeah, I would say definitely work on the portfolio. It's a number one thing that we are looking at, and then I wouldn't say don't apply to jobs that don't fit you, because like if it doesn't fit, then they will just not contact you.
Mm.
Uh,
Yeah,
Looking at it from that direction, but definitely focusing on the offers and the studios that fit your style, or the
right.
type of assets that you like to work on, because for some games you will have to like do 1,000 icons
Goodness.
for the small daggers and shields and stuff like that. So that's one way to work as a graphic
Right.
designer in the industry. But then perhaps in some other company, other game, you would be working on textures for some wooden tables. So I would definitely think about what kind of assets and type of work in the art section
It's a very
appeals to
broad
you.
industry in that sense, right? There's so many different games that are being worked on, and it just just saying a video game is it's very much a blanket statement that can encompass a lot of different software. So, like Deshaun said, it's not exactly an industry because it is also very what's the word, competitive, and there's just
Mhm.
a limited number of studios that work on games. So naturally, you have a lot of people who want to work on games, but then maybe not a whole lot of jobs. Although even in Poland, because
Yeah,
like
that
new
makes
studios
sense.
pop up. But then even us, when we put out a job offer in a listing, we get like 500 resumes, let's say,
Goodness.
for just a position. So it's very competitive. So in that sense, like Sean said, if you got a lot of like 2D art that you're like super proud of, then try to apply to studios who where I mean they have like a similar art style to you, because essentially the people hiring, like say us for instance, like if we want like those 2D dagger icons, then we're just gonna pick the guy who already does it. And like,
Yeah,
I
that
mean,
makes
it
sense.
makes sense, right? Because like,
Mhm.
okay, here's the proof, right? They can work on this thing.
Yeah,
So there's not a whole lot of okay, let's just take some random person and see what they can do, because there's just
Mhm.
so many different people. So you really need to choose what you want to do and then like focus on it, and then specialize in just like the one thing, and then try to expand from there. I think, and have more things that you specialize in, but don't try to be good at everything at once because there's just too much stuff to be good at.
Yeah, that's good advice. Don't try to do it all. All
Yeah.
right.
yeah. And
Um,
I think we have this question about do we get our own character to design? And I think we saw that also on Steam, so we may answer to that. So for now, in Hotel Galactic, there's no like avatar or a character that represents you as a player.
mm,
So we are this like non-physical entity that creates these tasks and moves your workers around the hollow. Uh, and having a character in the game, your own avatar that you created, would, from our perspective, require the character to also pose some kind of role in the game or in the hotel, and it would change mm,
I think it
how
would
the
also
gameplay is
detract
basically.
from the main premise because the main character is the hotel. You could say that is your
mm,
character that you customize and build up, right? So
yeah,
it's not a person, but an entity of some other kind, I suppose.
it's really interesting. Let's see. Here's another. Chelsea Davis asks, "Is there any romance or combat in the game?"
Uh, there's no combat, and we don't want any kind of violence in the game. Even uh, we have this animal handling feature that will be able to unlock once you after unlocking the farming island.
Mm,
You'll be able to keep your own little animals and like have them live there. And there's but there's no meat or anything like that. You do not kill those animals to like gather produce from them.
I want everyone to be
You
friendly
Yeah,
and sort of turn up produce
yeah,
that way
you
and live in
yeah.
symbiosis. So I guess I don't know, just a theme that we want to promote. But in terms of combat scenarios, I would say uh, without violence, there's going to be an underground complex,
Hmm.
like an underground area that you're going to be exploring, and then you might meet hostile creatures or stuff,
Yeah,
different dangers that you're going to have to be tackling. But don't
mm,
want to reveal any specifics. But I suppose that is going to serve as the equivalent of combat in this
yeah.
game.
yeah,
Just no
Mm.
killing, folks, please.
yeah. And
Leave the guests alone.
we
Right?
also have our own version of like boss fights, and we look in that light at the VIP visits. want the VIP visits to feel like you are having this big boss fight sequence in a game, and have to like use all your forces and all the cards up your sleeve to like defeat this VIP and have them feel really well after leaving Hotel Galactic at the
Awesome.
end of their visit. So you could say that's kind of combatty.
All right,
Yeah.
we got this really silly question from Goji Drawing on YouTube. The most important question of all time: can you pet the guests? If you tap on them, is there any sort of interaction? Like, will they notice if you click on them?
Yeah, we have. I think it's not yet working correctly in the game, but we want them to like stand in place and look at the camera, like waiting for your decision what to do with them, because we will be able to offer them various kinds of like you will be able to pick a guest and offer them cutting the line to, if you see that they're really impatient and you want them to feel good, and then try the other guests not liking that, you will be able to do stuff like that, or offer them a free meal if they had some issues. So they will be waiting for your decision and definitely be noticing you when you interact with them.
That's awesome. That actually answers another question asking if the guests had feelings. So they do have
Yeah.
feelings.
Do they do?
That's
Yeah, they do. They have a lot of characteristics. They have traits. They have needs. They have all kinds of
Quirks, pet
yeah,
peeves, petty
yeah,
grievances, everything.
yeah, all kinds of words
Kinds of
basically.
fun.
that's awesome. Sounds really fun.
Will you
All
do more
right.
Q&A
So,
session? I love
any
it.
do you guys have anything else you wanted to say to the people that are watching before we end this?
Yeah,
Um,
definitely thank you for the amazing support that we are seeing in both the group on Facebook and generally for our Kickstarter campaign. And since announcing the game not even 2 months ago, it's been an amazing ride, and we can't wait to have you all have a chance to finally play the game. And we are very excited to for the next steps that are coming.
Yeah, I
yes,
think we're all excited
it's,
too.
it's like I said at the very beginning. It's very gratifying. It's amazing to see, and this was great, by the way. Hela, you're awesome as well. So thank you for
Oh,
having
thank you.
us on. I would
I
love
was
to
so
do it again
nervous.
sometime. Why not?
Yeah,
I mean,
Yeah,
potentially.
if you guys want to schedule another
Yeah,
one, I'd be happy to. We can chat more whenever you get further along
yeah.
or
This is
anything like
right
that.
as we hit our like next milestone and
Mhm.
possibly start the closed test or alpha test. Maybe that could be something
yeah.
as we reveal more of the game. But yeah, it was awesome to talk to you. Thank you for all your questions as well.
Yeah.
And across all social media platforms and everything, it's been great to see the reception that we've been getting, and I can't wait to be back then.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is definitely a lot of fun. So just a reminder, the Kickstarter is still live and you can still back it. It's still got a little bit of time left. It has
Yeah,
met the
just
I'll
goals,
get
but
the
there's
plushies.
stretch
stay
goals.
left.
Yes, don't forget the plushies. All right. So thank you so much for answering all the questions. You guys have been wonderful. And I look forward to talking more and seeing how the game goes.
Yeah,
Thank you
awesome.
too.
Thank you. Bye,
Alrighty.
everyone.
See
Bye
you later,
bye.
everybody. Oh my goodness, I pressed the wrong button. Bye.
Bye.
Now, bye.